Welcome back to the SCC. I almost forgot what we were doing. I don't know. I've been talking about Paladins for about 5 minutes. Yeah, no, we are going to be jumping in to the Gladiators and the Scorpions. Thanks for your patience as we get into this game. Europe, again, always an interesting region to be able to watch this one. We'll see how things are going for them over there as we get into picks and bans for game number 1 of the Gladiators and the Scorpions. Things that were notable, obviously the hi-rez has been kind of on the talking list so far for the 9.9 patch. Again, if you're watching SBL tomorrow, they're going to be playing on the bonus that dropped on Tuesday, but these games are played on 9.9. But we saw things like the tier, makes sense. He's banned again by the Scorpions here, makes sense because that is very Europe. And from what we've seen at LAN during the Summer Masters, it can translate really well into competitive games. The Terra, the Heimdall still very, very potent over here, despite not maybe being as high up on other people's lists. Trelly, it's a very fun to watch seeing the differences in the regions.
Yeah, I will say, though, the Terra got taken away, which is still a very strong pick at the moment, but leaving open, things like the Guan Yu, the Yamoja are going to sneak their way through. But just grabbing the Yu Huang here for the Gladiators, always going to be a smart pick. I think that, the win rate doesn't really reflect how strong the character can be. You got a great early game, you got a great late game, tons of safety, great team fight presence, pretty much the jack of all trades in mid at the moment for Yu Huang. And then, of course, that Yamoja I was referencing still does get through, because if you can use the... And both! Wow, Guan Yu and Yamoja going over the Aaru Scorpions. We're going off of top meta picks.
Cool, so do you want to just go to game 2 now?
Yeah, we can just cut. There's going to be a lot of healing going on one side of the map for sure, and it doesn't look good.
It's going to be fun. Again, this is one, I think we only got to see this combination once last week. The Warriors, the very first game of the week for the SBL, the Warriors got Yamoja Guan Yu, and everybody was similarly reacted to what you had said, where it's like, I'm sorry. They got what? And together? Are you sure? That was allowed? Yeah, so this is going to be, like you said, a lot of healing. A lot of good CC. Prot Shred from Guan as well. Good engage. Yamoja, you can nerf everything on her kit, and it's still just good because of the way the Omi works along with her abilities. So it does feel like it is going to be just a good top 2. Then they get the Baba Yaga, which if it was in normal conversation, I'm 50-50 on that pick most of the time. But in Europe, it has been treated very well.
Yeah, I just think the itemization that most mid laners are going at the moment just favors the way that you want to play a Baba Yaga with the Warlocks and the Charon's Coin, things like that. So Baba, I think, always going to be a decently smart pick, especially when you're up against things like the hi-rez, for example. You don't really care about Pillar Bag, and you just jump into home, sweet home, and run away. But there are going to be some aggressive supports taken away by the Aaru Scorpions, the Bacchus ban, the Fafnir ban. Not going to get that Sobek. And plus, the anti-heal on Sickening Strike, I think, going to be plenty useful when you're looking at a Sobek. I mean, the Sobek into the Guan Yu and the Yamoja. I think you're going to get tons of value out of that anti-heal built into the kit.
And honestly, I'm actually excited even more so because the anti-heal got buffed recently, right? For a lot of these gods, the duration, I believe it was, on the Sobek 3, Bacchus, Cerberus, I want to say, and pretty much anybody that you can think had caked in anti-heal got a small buff to it to try and deal with it. And it's going to be necessary here, right? You've got Fenrir with self-heals. You've got Baba Yaga, who maybe isn't going to self-heal, but has a lot of damage, plus the Guan Yu and the Yamoja. It'll be very interesting how this all shakes out. Plus the Fenrir at the very end. Not someone we get to see too often. We'll see in game number 1 which of these two teams are going to be able to take the lead and take control here. With the Fenrir Trelly, though, specifically Fenrir, with Guan Yu and Yamoja, in the jungle, feels like something Rapio specifically has been doing, and not a lot of other people have been going to it and have made it work as well.
Yeah, not so much as of recent. I think the Fenrir is something that Masskill also used to like a fair bit, but on the Mercury, just a completely different jungle playstyle, right? Where the Fenrir does want to get aggressive as early as, level 2. Once you get access to Unchained and Brutalize, you can look to find some aggression, whether that be onto the enemy jungler in this Mercury, following the dash or something like that. There's tons of different plays you can make with some early aggression on the Fenrir pick, whereas Masskill is farming until level 5, probably farming until Rage gets completed, second item after the Golden Blade, something like that, and then looking to gank these long lanes with the Sonic Boom from downtown behind the tower, that sort of thing. It's just a completely different jungle play style that you want to bring that aggression when you pick the Fenrir, because it is going to fall off a little bit as the game continues. You turn to a bit of a CC bot as the game does continue. But it looks like Preds will be going for the purple buff invade that we see so much, and then we get to see the old purple buff, and they show up and slowly walk away with that Invader's Curse. You always got to make sure you're warding that purple buff.
And not only warding it, but just making sure not to I guess to try and get there faster. I don't even know where I want to go with that one, right? Because that curse, and like you said, we've been seeing this way more often, but how slow those tanks walk away. Feels like if you could get there just a scrap faster, you'd probably be able to find a kill or a pluck or a lockdown. I'll go, in this case, depends more on the ability you have, right?
I mean, I'm probably saving my ability level and just like walking up and going, oh, you're here, I'm going to pluck you back into the Invader's curse, and then we get a kill in that case.
It feels like it's almost like the balance, right? That happens. You go back in time to before invades happen. When invades start happening, all of a sudden it's like very common to not pick up your ability until you see what's going on.
Right.
And then that transition into invades being relatively common, then kills from invades being relatively common, then invades getting nerfed until they try to make them disappear. And even with that curse, Shelly, they keep walking up and taking it. It's only purple buff, so I guess there's that, but it still happens.
Yeah, but now you're looking at this is the reason that invade is so proper. Just finally, Calvin and Toddy look over to level 2. You got to put some respect. When you don't have your second ability, there's no reason for you to try and get aggressive and look for the fight. But now, the Aaru Scorpion's getting out cleared. Mass Kill was going for the invade. Rapio tried to stop it for a second, but, you know, mid-camps have already spawned back in at this point, and you have a full wave that you have to deal with. So, overwhelming pressure going towards the Gilded Gladiators, at least for now. And actually, Mass Kill trying to go for an invade on the back camps, but Rapio should be just fine trying to confirm these. But aggressive is Mass Kill, going for the special delivery. I don't think any mid laner is going to be coming over to help out anytime soon, though.
Now, this is where things get interesting. Maybe it's going to be in the jungle because Mass Kill is not letting up on this pressure. And they're going to split the back camps 1 and 1. Maybe they're going to go for a gank. It's just kind of, this is general bullying is what I would describe this as, right? You're just hanging around, making sure that you can have the pressure on the blue buff. Not enough, though, that you can secure it. And that is going to be the fallback from Mass Kill and Lestinix. But between, you know, the Fenrir and the Mercury can get a little more hands-on. I think most of the gods that we're looking at as, like, only late-game gods nowadays can have a good level 1 through 5, good enough
Right.
that they can hold on. So it's not that big a gap between the Mercury and the Fenrir. While, unfortunately for the Baba Yaga, compared to a Yu Huang, that level 1 through 3 is just going to be too controlling for the Gladiators. The Scorpions are going to have to play a little more patient.
Yeah, it seems like that was the call from the get-go, right? Mass Kill wanted to head over to you have this Hades pick that is going to be getting infinite pressure, constantly silencing out the Tulu Assault from Panvich, just making sure to power clear, and then you go over to the blue buff invade, and you should be able to just insta-clear that buff and put your soul laner ahead. Of course, this time didn't exactly work out. Panvich was able to keep Rapio pretty healed up with that sustain and just say, hey, if you guys do try to go for this invade, we're definitely going to fight you, and just backing off. Still, a small gold lead over to the Gladiators because of that overwhelming aggression that we saw earlier, and I think the purple buff invade might be trying to answer some of that back, right? We saw that Preds and Davey had the XP lead. They should be able to get Totem control. They should be able to get the Interceptor off cooldown, that sort of thing. And that does start to add up because we sat down with the Tartarus Titans and I talked to Aurora about how oppressive supports can be with the Interceptor early. You get a tanky support like a Yamoja, for example, that does W keys at you. You can't really kill her. She's healing up so much, and the Interceptor damage is just adding up like that. It can start to get real annoying in that lane.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of pressure, and Preds is going to show some of that right here, right? Doesn't take any damage. And admittedly doesn't deal too much, but that CC, especially now that they're level 5, you've got the ult available. Davies got his ult available. If Rapio was on that side of the board, then all of a sudden, that's a kill, right?
Oh,
Someone on that team is going to die. That's a first blood. And so that goes for the rest of the game. As long as that Interceptor is up and available, then it's going to be nice. It is worth mentioning, though, balance changes for that. If you didn't watch in the SBL or if you haven't kept up with it, it only lasts for, I believe, 3 minutes now as opposed to the 4 minutes that it did before. So the timer's a little lower. I believe some of the damage is a little bit lower, things like that. But it is still really, really helpful, as it turns out, when you pick things up. And as you can see right there, it disappears right when the buff comes back anyway. So Preds and Davey are able to get that. More pressure, they're happier.
And Preds stole that purple buff away. Unfortunately, Toddy was not able to confirm that when the bubble just grabs it. And now you still don't get a purple buff. Your first one gets invaded, and off the respawn.
You're praying that you get this.
Yeah, you're hoping that you can take the Interceptor because Preds has just been so...
Oh, no, they didn't.
And, yep, it's going to continue. The oppression in the duo lane is going to continue off of the back of this Yamoja. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, well, they could have banned it, right? And this could have been avoided. Still, there's other supports that can invade buffs and be this aggressive, but, you know, it could have been something that they could have thought about, you know, beforehand. So now we're going to have to deal with the XP differential for a bit. As a Jingwei, you're probably pretty used to getting behind in the early anyways. You can just fly to lane. You're not going to miss too much farm. It looks like Toddy is going for the Dev Gauntlet start, but Mass Kill. Decently low HP charging up the ult. I would have been surprised if that Sonic Boom did go, but Calvin made the rotation over, so maybe feeling a little bit more confident with the one-man advantage over that fight on right.
And not only having Calvin, like it feels like Sobek wants to play aggressively. Mass kills easily able to set up some of these kills aggressively, and it's specifically Soto's behind them, right? Has the Divine Ruin finished? If it's Yu Huang, maybe not like the prime Yu Huang, but still going to do a lot better than a still stacking Baba Yaga, and that's actually where I personally kind of wanted to direct this. Is, you know, you get the Divine Ruin now, Magic Focus Tier 1, probably some more flat pin for Zotos. Very standard build from what we've seen out of mid this patch. Normally, it feels like for Baba Yaga, we see them just skip the starter item, right? Like, you ignore it, you grab your stacking item first and foremost, try to get it as quick as possible, probably go into a second stacking item. Sometimes they're brave and they go into a third. But delaying it here, it feels like Gunter kind of unfortunately slows things down for themselves. But do you mind that in comparison to like the stats that you're getting from the starter?
As far as I'm concerned, picking the Baba Yaga means that you're not looking to get aggressive in the early, which is kind of counterintuitive when you grab a Fenrir or something like that. But I'm fine with Gunter saying, you know, prioritize your stacks. The starter item's going to give you extra MP5. You can stay in lane a little bit longer. You can stay around and finish that Warlocks on first or second back, that sort of thing. So I don't hate this build at all. In fact, I think the flat pen build is just worse unless you're getting aggressive in the early, which it seems like that was the plan from the Gilded Gladiators, right? If you're looking at just what you get from Divine Ruin and what you get from Warlocks, Warlocks is just infinitely better as long as you can get it stacked up and you don't have to worry about the healing. But because the Gilded Gladiators have been constantly looking for those grabs from Mass Kill, look for these ganks whenever possible, we've seen Sonic Boom consistently charged up, just itching to launch it off, and then you look at the healing on the opposite side. I do like what Sotos is doing here. It just hasn't been able to make use of it just yet. The Dueling Dragons have not been sent out because I don't think the Aaru Scorpions really want to fight into that just yet. As you mentioned, with the Warlock Sash, you're going to be sitting on your hands a little bit until that item finally gets finished up.
And a lot of people are using that, you know, you see it, the Dueling Dragon specifically is like a pull anyway. So it's like, well, Payon, the absolute mad lad that he is one one of the few players I've seen just constantly throw out no setup, no stuns, just hits the ult. Yeah, hits the ult on cooldown. And so it's not an easy setup to have happen. And we'll see mechanically whether or not Sotos is going to bring that to the table or if we're going to see some setup. I mean, there's a lot of setup on this squad. Speaking of which, Toddy barely able to escape there. Seems like a gank on the Stimix as well. The beads used over on the right-hand side to avoid the stun and the control from the Fenrir. Meanwhile, the ult used by the Jingwei to stay alive down on the left-hand side. So a lot of pressure coming out from the Scorpions.
Yeah, getting the Stemix beads is pretty big. As long as you hold on to Pillar of Agony, you shouldn't really have to worry about the Ragnarok anytime soon. But it is just going to make you a little bit more susceptible. As long as you can land that Fenrir jump stun into the grab, you should be able to confirm that CC even with the Pillar of Agony up. But the Rivers of Buke gets dropped for a possible purple buff. I remember Toddy already ulted the dash into the wall. This is going to be gone.
Yeah, just nothing you can do about it. The dash blocked. And clean play from them. And this poor purple buff, Trelly. It's never getting confirmed by Calvin. And once again, he has to watch as it gets taken away. I mean, you know, you're talking 2 levels for both of them. Calvin and Toddy behind where Preds and Davey are because of this farm. There's going to be a great ult, though, from Sotos. Pulls back Gunter.
Oh, the flames.
And the flame damage at the end is all it takes to get the kill.
I mean, it just, first of all, that duo kill, it just seems like, you know, Toddy a little bit in the past with this build, the Dev Gauntlets, the Jingwei, you're playing for late game, of course, and because Preds has been just so oppressive on that side of the map, that purple buff does not belong to you. However, the Gilded Gladiators are still trying to get aggressive, as we said, gets the beads down from Gunter immediately, uses the blast off to try and escape, but beautiful Dueling Dragons back in. And that's going to confirm the beads, get the ult, and the flames of the Phoenix confirm that kill as well. But Toddy getting aggressive on this side of the map, might even dash in here. But Davey, you
Wow.
got Transcendence. You could try and box this, but Davey doesn't want to go for that. Just going to run away. If that's me, I'm fighting, probably losing anyways. But, you know, you're 2 levels up. You can't run away at that point, right?
Well, turned off the lights, right? Things get way more dangerous when you can't see. And Toddy recognizing that. Rapio's over here, goes in, gets the stun, pulls the ult out from Toddy. The distance is just enough. There was burn, some poison damage coming out from Davey. So far, hasn't been able to find the kill. No mana, no health. Preds is there.
Bubble over the wall.
Bubble over the wall. Moonstrike short. Oh, and Rapio wasn't able to close the gap either. Toddy once again, barely, but able to get out with their life.
Yeah, Toddy is playing with fire at this point. Look at there is a ward between the 2 towers at this point, so Davey knows whenever Maskill heads onto this side of the map, we'll have a good idea that a sonic boom is coming, so I'm feeling like not too much aggression on that side. Good stun, though, and the grab's down. That's going to be a brutalize for free, and another kill confirmed onto Maskill. So the Aaru Scorpions, despite a little bit of a slow start, have certainly come out swinging now.
And I have to give a shout out, Rapio, really, really good beads reaction time, because there was a dueling dragons that was set to pull him back into the tower. He just walks out no problem. Starts up a Pyromancer for the squad. Scorpions get that one. Now finding themselves a comfortable lead, right? 1,000 gold, 2 kills to 1, 12 minutes in. Feels like they're slowly pulling things back in their favor, especially considering how things were going in the duo lane. It means the rest of the team essentially is catching up and starting to get themselves a lead. 1 level in the jungle, actually still technically behind in mid, but more than made up for with 2 levels both in support and in carry. So they're finding themselves a good amount of control, Charlie, and admittedly, looking for fights that, well, actually, not even looking for fights, responding to fights in an incredible fashion.
Yeah, it just seems like, and this is exactly what you would want. Getting your carries ahead, I think, is so important in the current meta, because how often are you pulling the gold fear? You know, if your carry has itemization online and you can burn it quickly, you can just say, oh, they backed, we can do gold. Like, that is certainly an option here for the Aaru Scorpions. You look at the Gilded Gladiators, and Toddy just finished that Executioner, so now I think that option has opened up for them, but for a bit, it was unstacked Dev Gauntlets and Balance Blade. You're not pulling a Gold Fury anytime soon with a build like that. Rapio, though, will get grabbed into another grab. Just up-downs, though, not too worried about the CC chain, and it looks like Dueling Dragon's coming through.
And that's going to be a decent pull. Forces the ult from Rapio for the CC immunity, the beads down from earlier. And that is going to be a small win for the Gladiators, but a win nonetheless. They get the mid camps off of it. A little bit of pressure, maybe more. It looks like Maskill might have wanted to go for his ult in mid. If Gunter had been about 2 steps farther forward, it would have worked out. Toddy, though, in trouble one more time. The damage not quite enough. And the ult for the Jing Wei gets the disengage. No one in the jungle. No one going for the chase down. Once again, Toddy's life flashes before their eyes, but they make it out.
Yeah, that's a great ult as well, because, you know, 9 times out of 10, you just ult back to your tower. That's your bastion of safety. But, of course, ever the wiser, Davey was covering that option with the Rising Jaguar. Just went right through the Umoja Riptide and said, I'm covering this option. The only option you could really go to is into the jungle, hope that Rapio's not close by, and that point wasn't. But once again, that purple buff does not belong to you. Beautiful Sonic Boom, though.
Yeah, grabs Davey the walls just a little late. No, actually better, because it helps Davey get out, locks in, the Gladiators. And that is going to be enough for them to escape over there. Lestimix might not have the same saving grace. And unfortunately, Panvich just goes under. Rapio there as well for the tower. They get to dive, they get the kill, and they get the solo lane advantage.
Yeah, but now that you get to see where this is going to be used, Calvin, pretty healthy in this regard. I don't think
there's an uh-oh moment.
I don't think there's going to be too much trouble for the Beck. Surprising, though, that no spikes have come out from Calvin. Calvin went from the Gauntlet of Thebes into the Witchblade. That's all well and good, but Preds, their ears are looking fresh. I mean, double earringed up. You got the Fable S hoops. You got the Manticore spikes. That's the meta build at the moment, but at the moment, Maskill is, yeah, you're gone.
There's not much more to say about that one, man. I mean, that's just good old-fashioned kill, right, Panvich? I think, and it goes to show one of my favorite things about the Guan Yu. Everybody in the game has like a base amount of set tankiness, right, when it comes down to it. Some prots, some things like that. Some scale better. Guardians scale better than like Assassins, things like that. So if Panvich walks up to you and strips those prots down, you've got next to nothing. That's working in your favor.
And also steals them for himself.
You might as well just be taking true damage at that point, right? And so that is That's just unfortunate, and it's not even like to get caught out there. You were at your own blue buff,
Yep.
like you were on your side of the map. They went out looking for trouble, and they brought it to you.
I mean, that's the worst part, right? Because I've been in Mass Kill's position where you're the jungler, your solo laner gets ganked, probably types jungle diff in the chat, something like that, and you're like, hey man, don't worry, I'll clear your wave. That's all it was. Mass Kill's like, I don't want your tower going down, I'll clear your wave, pal, don't you worry. And unfortunately, you know, met their doom over at that blue buff trying to get that extra wave. But remember, that's where that ward comes into play. Masskill went for the gank over and left, was about to charge up Sonic Boom, and Davey said, I'm not stepping out. I know well and where there's going to be a ward coverage there. Listemics unfortunately get ganked in the same exact spot. This time around, does get the beats, but Listemics holds on to Pillar of Agony just in case some more CC comes through.
My God, a monumental occasion. Toddy got a purple buff finally
go!
for his team, and they might even get a kill out of it as well. No,
No.
Preds throws up the walls. The healing
Sonic
is
Boom.
good and gets out of there. Sonic Boom's charged, but Masskill's not going to pull the trigger on this one. Panvich is over here, and now they're getting aggressive. I mean, look, this is a team with the rotations down pat, and it is surprising to me that they're not continually grouping up. I mean, you have a huge rotation like that. It feels like a Gold Fury call. Rapio caught out in the jungle. Gonna have to use a little bit to get away. Jukes out the
backstab.
ult as well. Gunter is taking a little bit of damage. There's the Pillar of Agony. But the Gladiators, they're fighting for scraps and not finding anything.
Yeah, I mean, the teleport over from Panvich was massive. We did see that Preds pop that upgraded meditation just in case the ult came through. I think that Masskill probably smart to hold on to that one. Even with their solo laners over, it doesn't look like the Aaru Scorpions are feeling too confident to pull that Gold Fury just yet. They've got a gold lead for sure. They've got an XP lead for sure, but is it massive enough to go for a 5v5 situation at the gold? Their call is no. Maybe a Pyromancer is a little bit more free for them. Gunter is going to get plucked back in, use the Aegis, and I don't think any more aggression will come because the pluck's already down.
Yeah, you can slam into him as much as you want as a Sobek. Not going to happen too much. Let's Stimix. Any of this right side of the map is just getting bullied, but maybe finally some turnaround. Masskill was able to get some damage out there and at least force a retreat on the Scorpions this time. But Trelly, I mean, look, Preds, Davey, they were bullying in the old-fashioned sense. They were just getting more experience, coming in, taking your jungle, doing all that. Right side has been kill after kill after kill. Finally, one gets let through. The lights turned off, forces a lot of people to retreat for the Gladiators. Toddy's getting chased down. You can see Panvich still wants to fight. A lot from the Scorpions that just screams aggression.
Yeah, I mean, the Gilded Gladiators were trying to grab that tower there, but unfortunately, because of the way that Masskill's itemized, you can't even try and get the tower in. Oh, hold that thought, actually, in the back comes Masskill.
Oh,
Just
no!
wants some farm, man. The Listemics dashes out, but Rapio says these back camps belong to us as well. You're not safe at your blue buff, you're not safe under tower, and you're certainly not safe near Rapio's back camps. Pyromancer going to be started up here.
And look, this is the second one this game they've started. Maybe not feeling as confident this time around. The Stimix goes into the Pillar of Agony, dodges out Rapio's ult. So trade for trade. Granted, there's still a death on the side of the Gladiators, so favors the Scorpions. Pyromancer's low. Sotos use their damage. Scorpions are going to get that one. A nice little dash out. And they find themselves up even more gold, pushing 4,000. If they can continue this rate, that'll hit 5,000 relatively soon.
Oh, I honestly thought the Tide just dashed in and we're going to see a 1v1 fight, but no, we're not. We're going to see just the normal boxing matches we usually see in the duo lane. But yeah, just a great pick over and right, and exactly what you want to do. After you get that pick, what do you get after? You go for the Pyromancer. Smart call, but the Gold Fury is still on the map. The Trebuchet has been sent out, but what are you doing while that Trebuchet is beating away on the tower? At the moment, Rapio trying to find an invade onto the Gradier Scorpion. That's all well and good, but I do want to see them try to push this lead even further. There is a ticking time bomb that is this Mercury. Masskill has Rage online, getting close to Deathbringer. That's going to get spookier as the game continues. Try and push that lead on over some of these objectives. You guys have the XP, you have the gold. Nothing on that left side of the map just yet, though. Still, more aggression towards the solo lane, not letting Listemics get free farm. That seems to be the name of the game here for the Scorpions.
Now, I'm still surprised the Scorpions, after that massive rotation from the Guan, did not end up going for the Gold
Yeah.
Fury. It was just a call to fall back.
Healing for days, that their HP didn't matter. But
Yeah, it's well, maybe they just weren't fully confident of the numbers. Either way, it does put them in a spot where, like you said, hey, it's still a lead, as it turns out, and it's still pretty comfortable for them. Toddy has just have to, unfortunately, play this carefully, right? Tower line, you're already Jing Wei, so you're on a safe pick, but it feels like someone's just waiting to bully you whenever they get the opportunity. It's going to be those rotations that I keep my eyes on, where Davey is more than anything. As well as Rapio. Honestly, and Panvic. Like, there's three people you got to watch, and it's the side lanes to see where they go. Maskill has to use his blink defensively to get away from the ult for Preds. That is going to be buying some space. And again, this feels like the kind of pressure, especially with this rotation from the Guan. You're looking for a kill. You're looking to get one. There's a good stun from Rapio to make sure that they shut down the support, and this should be a Gold Fury.
That was such a good riptide by Preds. It didn't even pull back in, Calvin, but what it did do is make sure that Rapio could get set up for that kill. Gets the beads down, and the Brutalizer is going to chase you all the way back to your tower. Thought he gets shut down, and finally, the Gold Fury is grabbed. But take a look at this. Maskill has some crit and is actually pulling the Fire Giant. And I don't think the Aaru Scorpions are onto this. Just got word, and Panvic comes over, and that's going to be the call to get off. They didn't do it nearly as fast as they would like to. Great eye by Panvic to make sure that Fire Giant doesn't go down. And Rapio is just putting on a clinic at this point. Walk up, jump, press 3, get kill. That's the plan.
Yeah.
It worked out twice. Might as well keep it going.
And I think good on you to notice the crit there, that the Mercury would even feel confident trying to go for a Fire Giant there. I'm almost surprised the Scorpions didn't go for it. Trilly, it feels like you've got two types of junglers in the world, right? There's the kind that will come to the duo lane and just int their brains out, right? They walk over for a gank, and they're the ones that die, and you might lose yourself or your supporter or whatever role you're playing over there too. And then you get people like Rapio, who walks into the jungle, kills the support, then just for good measure kills the carry, and then helps the team get a Fury as well. And so I think the Scorpions definitely fell on the right side here, as they're, 6,700 approaching that 7,000 gold mark. Pre-Fire Giant, pre-towers falling. I mean, this is just neutral farm going their way.
You're telling me that not a single tower has dropped and we're 22 minutes into this game?
They're going to drop fast soon.
I mean, I'm giving that credit to the Jing Wei passive, because the way that Toddy has been getting camped, the way that Toddy has been getting sat out in this lane, that tower should have died so long ago, but because you can just zoom back in whenever possible, your purple buff is going to be gone, but that tower will at least stand tall, and I think that's why the XP lead as well in that lane is only at the 2 levels that it is, 18 and 19 actually, so not as bad as it could have been at that point. But Maskill's job, unfortunately, has become infinitely harder, because gone are the times when you can find someone just chilling in lane by themselves. You're in 5v5 group territory, and if a Mercury ults into 5v5 group territory, you can treat him as a big minion. Like, you can just say, hey, no, shoo, and you will kill him at that point. So there's not going to be any easy assassinations in the back anytime soon. Maskill just has to run to farm and try and find someone solo farming at this point. But Sodos takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, manages to get out of there. One of the safety mechanisms of Yu Huang, keeping himself alive. A lot of safety on the side of the Gladiators. Might not help Calvin out. Riptide, unfortunate timing, unfortunate for them. If that pulls back the Sobek, feels great. The fact that it pulls back Rapio after the jump feels not so great, not hot at all. Doesn't stop the Scorpions too much. Doesn't get them the kill, but they go to turn on the Fire Giant already. Half HP for their objective. It seems like they might just have this one. It's such a weird pull, right? They're committing to it, but you can definitely tell the willingness to drop it anytime they need to. Lestimix goes in, and they're going to turn their attention towards the Hades. That Pillar of Agony, look, you get a lot of prots. It is not enough to tank all of that. But Maskill, with a massive sonic boom, comes through, but has no follow-up, no teammates to help out. Calvin walks in and loses most of their life. Rapio gets out on the back. Phantom Shell makes sure that these walls are a little more palleable or malleable to walk through. And so no kills happen except for Lestimix. But they don't get anything off the back of a brilliant ult.
Yeah, this is so unfortunate, because once the ults go down, guess what? There's a sustained battle being had, and the Aaru Scorpions are winning it tenfold. They've got the Guan Yu, they've got the Yamoja. Low health bars all around, but they'll be quickly topped off whenever need to. Rapio, remember when he was half health, full HP now, and he's going to take the solo fight versus Maskill. He might be losing it, though.
Yeah, the crit's definitely coming true. Then there's Toddy as well, just icing on the cake. Take the 1v1, turn it into a 2v1. But unfortunately, you'll lose the Fire Giant. You might still lose your jungler, because Panvic is swinging like a madman, chasing him down. That Glaive only needs one more hit there. It's going to be. So it's a 1-for-1 with the jungle, plus the Fire Giant on the side of the Scorpions. Scorpions.
Yeah, now it's time for the Aaru Scorpions to finally knock down those towers because even the one in left, the one that Toddy has been absolutely defending with all their being, is living with 1 HP, but it's time to finally collect some of that gold. The Gilded Gladiators will return some of that gold as well. Grab the tier 1 in left, possibly try to grab the tier 1, or the tier 1 in mid rather, and then possibly go over the tier 1 in left. So trying to get some extra farm in tow before the 5v5 starts. I think feeling pretty confident that the Aaru Scorpions are not going to go underneath Phoenixes without Rapio. They're 4-0 Fenrir that just fell for the first time. Probably want to sit back, regroup, and push onwards, which I think is a smart call. So the Gilded Gladiators are able to recoup a bit of their losses. They've got some time to dial it back, finish up a bit of these items, and get ready for the siege ahead, because it is not going to be an easy one. The gold lead, it's not quite that 10K with Fire Giant where it's unreachable. You know, it's close to 10K, and it's only on 4. So it's not the worst case scenario. You got about 2 minutes and 40 seconds to try and hold out. This could be one of those FGs that's just crossing your T's, dotting your I's. Let's grab the tier 2 towers, dial it back, and then EFG time rolls through, and then we'll look at the birds. But one early pick before the fight starts, Gore, and that could mean these birds are getting knocked down.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very simple call right at that point to see where they end up going. It's also fun to watch because I think, like you said, not only has Gladiators used this time wisely, but they kind of read the scenario, right? Well, we'll lose the tower on left. We'll probably lose 2 towers on right. Might even lose 2 towers in mid and everything, like a full 6 swing on their favor for the Scorpions. But they're not going to go for just any Phoenix, right? They're going to have to wait for a little while. So they use that time, invade some things, steal some buffs away. Now it's going to be the defense. They don't have Maskill, though. Maskill just now backing and kind of confused as to whether or not he wants to go for a Phoenix on their own. Seems like they're going to get the back off. Mid-Phoenix goes down for the Gladiators. And they're brought into the jaws of Rapio. And then just shy of getting killed, Toddy makes it back to the Fountain Sodos. Barely able to escape as well. They lose the Phoenix, but they stay alive.
Yeah, Maskill is charging up Sonic Boom, trying to find any avenue to go in, and found it onto Rapio, gets the beads down, and the Unchain is going to get Rapio back in the arms of the healers, where he will slowly but surely be healed back up to full, because that's exactly what this comp does.
I don't even know if it's slowly but surely. That was like instant, bro. He just was full health again. All of a sudden, lifesteal for Fenrir feels pretty good. See what happens here. Calvin gets a good pluck, but it is not onto an easy target. No big follow-up for the damage. There's the walls from Preds. There's going to be a nice, simple Phantom Shell on the other side. Then a great ultimate and great dash forward. Maskill's able to start with 1. Toddy gets another 2-for-1 trade in favor of the Gladiators. Calvin able to clean up the final hit onto Davey. And what was a good Fire Giant push, a Phoenix knockdown, what looked like it could be a surefire match for the Scorpions, is slowly falling apart. And now, unfortunately, Panvich just tossed around. Nothing you can do about it until that ult comes up. You're going down one way or another, and Sodos is going to get credit for the kill. 4-for-1, and the Gladiators bounce back.
Yeah, Fire Giant runs out here in about 15 seconds, but what a good chase. I mean, the Pillar of Agony into the massive dueling dragons there, just a ton of damage, all grouped up onto one another. And at first I thought it was just a bit of tickles, but Maskill getting to the backline, sure, trades his life, but does a ton of damage as well. This is time for the Gilded Gladiators to get as much gold as possible. I don't think you're breaking the base. I definitely don't think you're looking at any Phoenixes. You're not. This isn't an end game call at this point, but what it can do is set you up for Enhanced Fire Giant. You lose 1 bird, but Toddy can pretty easily fly to the lane, then back and fly back into FG if need be, or even better, Maskill can pretty much reach Fire Giant from that mid lane if you're charging up Sonic Boom and getting the right angle. So it's not going to be the end of the world. And you have actually shrunk up that gold lead that we were just discussing. The Aaru Scorpions are not as ahead as they were when they first killed that Fire Giant. So definitely a net win for the Gladiators, but that mid Phoenix going down, you know, it could have been worse, right? Just 1 bird going down, and it's the middle one.
Yeah.
You still are able to defend Enhanced Fire Giant, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they are fighting for, right? Let's try and chase down as much as possible, mitigate our losses, get Fire Giant off the rest of the Aaru Scorpions, and then we can group up for EFG.
Looking at the builds, mostly completed now. I mean, granted, with the amount of gold they have, it should be right on the Scorpions. Approaching about 80,000 total in the game. Still, what, 6,000-ish, give or take, above the Gladiators. So you've got full build for a majority of people. Gunter was where I was looking at mainly when I turned my eyes on that. Went for the Warlock Staff, went for the Charon's Coin. Not many other stacking items in there. just a lot of power and a lot of punch behind those hits, and that punch is getting used right now. The Scorpions on the Fire Giant, burning it down. There's the walls up from Preds, and the easy secure for the Scorpions. The fight after the fact looks like it might be chased out by Calvin. The Scorpions aren't going to risk it. They're not in a comfortable position. There's a trebuchet on the other side of the map. Instead, they're going to fall back, defend their base, and then probably resurge forward with a vengeance.
Yeah, that was definitely the smart call there, and I really thought that just if Maskill had the vision, a major look crit over the wall would definitely been able to outconfirm the Shivalanke auto that was able to confirm that Fire Giant, so it could have been close, but now the Aaru Scorpions are playing this about as smart as you can. You get the objective and you get out. If you can take anything from this to your own games, get the objective and get out. 90% of the time, when my teammates get Fire Giant, they run it down and they try and chase whoever was there to steal. When you usually use abilities, you use ultimates to confirm. River's Rebuke is down, the lights went off. You don't want to look for the fight after the fact, and I think that's a very smart call there by the Scorpions, a veteran decision, if you will, to get the EFG, back it up, we'll grab the Oni Fury, we'll start pushing in, and even sending Panvich back to stop Maskill from getting any extra farm, stop from getting that right side Phoenix. So now we're going to see the Oni minions start to push down. You still have, nope, actually the last wave of fire minions has spawned in mid, so if you're a Gilded Gladiators fan, you don't have to worry about clearing those out anytime soon. But this is not going to be an easy defense at this point. Enhanced Fire Giant brings you to the point where these towers are getting shut down in a solid 3 seconds or so. That was like 4 autos from Davey, and it's going to continue that way. I don't even think they're going to go for that weak Phoenix. It looks like group is 5, the Aaru Scorpions want this left side bird.
Yeah, this is something. I mean, at this point, you grab left. If you need to, you rotate mid. It's already weakened. That's an easy pickup. Or you just win the fight out on left, and you get to end the game here. We'll see what they're going to be capable of doing. Just trying to go for the clear. This is where things get a little more difficult, though, right? When you talk about it, we talk about defenses. You have to look at mages. You have to look at what they're capable of. And in this instance, you also have to look at Maskill. As long as that wave doesn't spot him, he's going to have the element of surprise.
Oh, he walked on a ward, though, I think, yeah.
He has definitely been visible at this point. Somebody's out there. They're looking for him, trying to figure out where he could be. I walked right across a ward. So Davey shuts off the lights. There's going to be the walls. Listimix brought in, not locked down enough. Calvin walks forward. Calvin's eating way too much damage and barely escapes. Not even enough. Gunter with a flyaway shot, able to close that one down, kill off the support, and now Maskill deep into the back line, not able to find the hits he needs. That melee just too short, and Davey Rapio lived through the engagement. Now surge forward is 5 under the left side. Phoenix in the 3v5. The Gladiators have to make a defensive stand, Trelly. They're going for the mid Phoenix, but it feels like it's so close to an end.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 5v3 situation. Fire Giant, enhanced Fire Giant on 5. The Aaru Scorpions are just playing as safe as possible. They have those Oni minions. They're going to grab the birds first, but at this point, that Titan is just a push away from falling down. No ultimates except for Toddy's airstrike. It's not going to be easy to hold this one alive.
20 seconds left until Calvin's back. 25 for Maskill. Walking into the Titan room are the Scorpions. The damage is there. The focus is on the players, though. They get rid of Sotos almost immediately. Listimix is the next target. Damage is good, and the kill is had. Double kill for the jungler here. Rapio looking for more. Might even be willing to dive the fountain, but it won't come to that one. They take down the Titan, and they win game number 1.
And I just want to credit that not only to the great duo lane play, right? Because Pred's just walking over, taking the purple buff, pretty much made sure that Jingwei was not going to be getting online this game. But Rapio played so offensively as well in this Fenrir for a bit. It was like, okay, Maskill's getting really aggressive. That's surprising. Then about level 5 or so, from there on out, it was just this Fenrir getting aggressive in these team fights and just trying to get to the backline effectively. I think one of the main issues I had was that no one was stopping Brutalized.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very difficult to live through that ability if you can't cancel it before it gets all of its procs off, and it just seemed like anytime Rapio was going in, that ability was connecting.
Yeah, getting full channeled, full damage off, an incredible performance. And again, I was a little curious about the Fenrir going into it, because outside of Rapio, I haven't been seeing a lot of people in Europe or in North America picking him up yet. We get to see exactly why it's showcased here. A really, really good team composition there for the Scorpions. We'll break all of that down, get into the numbers, and then, of course, move into game number 2, though, right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the EUSCC, or at least the first half of the day, which is still the EUSCC. 3 p.m., halfway through. 1-0 so far this set, and it's in favor of the Scorpions, right? They come through. A relatively even game for a lot of that, although you could see some bullying, I think, happening. Primarily the Scorpions bullying the Gladiators, and it was the purple buff that was getting bullied the most, Trelly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, small lead in the duo lane, then kills that happen over in the right lane just kind of culminate to a massive lead for the whole team.
Yeah, it seemed like, coming off the back of, again, I know I'm harping on this invade a lot, but it really does ruin your early game, especially when you're picking a character like Jingwei. I mean, up against Davey, who's on Shibalanke with Transcendence, and you're Jingwei with Dev Gauntlets. It just, Toddy got off to such a horrible start because you're a level down, your purple buff does not belong to you anymore, all the respawns don't belong to you, you get first blooded at about 10 minutes even though you were playing as safely as you really can, and then Rapio comes in on this Fenrir and just essentially makes the presence known throughout the map, right? You're getting a kill here, you're getting a kill there, then you look up, you're 6,000, and this is when Brutalize just absolutely solos Toddy there. You gotta make sure that your support's always around to cancel that ability. In that case, when no one's around, you're probably losing that 1v1.
It has been fun to watch just how well this, I want to say well controlled, right? The small lead that they were able to take, again, a couple of stumbles maybe here and there for the Scorpions, but how they handled that and controlled that into some of these late game team fights were massive for them. Again, good shots, good fadeaways, I believe, here from Gunter. And it was the perfect scaling, right? Because you had mentioned it, and we had talked about it, like Fenrir plus a Baba Yaga maybe can be a little aggressive early on, but not as aggressive as it feels like, and controlling as a Yu Huang plus a Mercury could be. But then they got aggressive just elsewhere. They didn't take it in mid. They took it to the solo lane. They took it to the right-hand lane, or the left lane, the duo lane, and found whatever kills they could. Mass kill, unfortunately, there wasn't able to match the pace Rapio was setting. 23,000 damage there for the mid laner. And then you get the late-game Baba Yaga numbers, right? Almost 30,000 damage coming out from Gunter. Feels like they were exactly in the spot they wanted to be.
Yeah, and I think, going forward, probably something you would like to deal with in the picks and bans is not letting the Guan Yu and the Yamoja through, because even when it seemed like there was some answer back, even when the Gilded Gladiators won a fight or two, the healing was going to make sure that they weren't able to, the solid engage. Remember, we saw like a 4-man Sonic Boom, no follow-up, and then just like one Yamoja tick heals it all up, and you're like, well, that was great. I have to wait, almost a minute for my ult to be back up, and all that HP that it was just done is completely gone. So I'm thinking, some of the sustain probably something that needs to be dealt with here, and if not the case, then maybe shutting down some of that aggression from the duo lane. That's probably a good place to start.
And I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do when we get into picks and bans, right? That's going to be game number 2, kicking things off. Scorpions, very, very good. Again, slow burn at first, but then very controlling into that game. Couple of bumps in the road. What changes are we going to see? Gladiators first pick one more time, and yeah, immediately let's go. Let's go for not even the elephant in the room, but the one that was the most obvious. Hey, that was a mistake. It is that Yamoja that you see down there. Tier's still the first ban. Do we see the Guan Yu? Do you think that he's going to go up there? And I'm glad that wasn't Guan Yu when I asked that, so we can still speculate.
Yeah, I think it's probably one or the other in this case. There is a lot of bans that you want to try and prioritize at the moment. Yamoja and Guan Yu felt pretty oppressive, so I could get by with the Gladiators saying, hey, we're going to get rid of the Yamoja, we're going to get rid of the Heimdall, which is still one of the best ADCs in Europe at the moment, and we can sit on the Guan Yu. So it looks like that is their mindset as well, and they will let that one slip through. And hey, they have the option to pick it if they really want to, but they also liked the Hades, so is that something they want to try and get? What to see.
Of the rivers.
They go for the Yu Huang, right? They locked in the Hades. Guan Yu was picked up by the Scorpions prior, and so they weren't able to even have the option there, both of those being available. Listimix, I think, looked good on the Hades. Unfortunately, there was a certain point where there was just a Fenrir and a Guan Yu sitting under his tower. Not much you can do about that one. With the Yamoja gone, Guan Yu was a high priority. We'll see where the Scorpions want to go here. Besides the Yu Huang, a lot of the change-ups, and this is actually something that's interesting because Yamoja was the first ban this game. Batera was the first ban in game number 1. So if you can't have one, take the other. It seems like here for the Scorpions. There's still a lot of healing on this squad, Trelly.
I mean, so when we saw Guan and Yamoja get locked in, we said go game 2. And I don't want to count the Gladiators out, or but that is not a promising start to the draft. Letting the Guan Yu through, and then the Terra is going to heal just about as much. But it looks like one adaptation that the Gladiators have made is not picking such a late game oriented hunter in that lane. Chiron, if you're going that ability-based build, you get Transcendence, you get like 1 Mace item online, you're already ready to half-health people with Centaurus. Still, though, that Hades going to get prioritized as well. I like this start a lot better. And you know, if it was curtains from the draft for the Gladiators last time, I don't think that's the case. I think they've done a lot of adaptation this time around.
Well, they grabbed the Hades, like you said. They grabbed the Chiron, like you said. A lot of openers for them. Fenrir was the last pick. This was where they had grouped up and grabbed Baba Yaga in the previous picks and bans instead. I don't know. It's hard to argue against the 7-2 Fenrir, so you lock that one in one more time, and you go for some jungle bans. Again, last time around it was Bacchus Fafnir because they needed to get rid of the support. This time around, they see exactly where their troubles are going to be. Set is the ban from the Scorpions, Baba Yaga on the other side, so that one is going to be forced to be a change-up look for Gunter. Honestly, that might be, like, look, Gunter did a lot of damage, good KDA, really great late game. Still might be a benefit to the Scorpions here because now they'll have a mage that probably is going to be online a little bit quicker.
It certainly could be the case, and again, I do like the Chiron. The cleanse was also going to help out a ton with the Ragnarok if that is going to be. If you can save that ability just to make sure that none of your teammates have to expel beads, it could be pretty solid. The Rama, however, this is the complete opposite of what I was just saying, whereas like the Shibalanke comes online a bit earlier. Rama, you know, you've got some decent fight at level 5 once you get access to the shots from above, but you know your clear's not the best early on.
Yeah.
Pair that with a Terra, it's gonna be fine. But up against Chiron, I'm taking Chiron in that 1v1 at least in the early, right when Transcendence finishes for the Chiron. That, like I said, Centaurus shots are really chunking, but that is an adaptation for sure. A great matchup into the Terra. If you can just wait for her to dash into the stone and chain that, it's going to make sure your lane's sitting pretty solid. You don't have the greatest matchup. I mean, CC immune ults throughout except for on the Terra here for the Scorpion, so you're not going to get too much value from the ultimate. But
yeah.
I think as long as you're able to use that early aggression in lane with the chains, you'll be just fine.
I do want to ask you about this. Completely derailed whatever thought process I had before that Ares pick, and that it is just because talking to Aurora yesterday, right? When he said, you know, Ares, like, he's super fun, and he would be, like, S tier if he could proc Manticore Spike, and he can't. So, unfortunately, I can't remember where he put him. You might remember a little bit better.
I believe it was C.
Yeah, he was a
not
little
good,
lower, not
he
too
put
great.
90% of the Guardians in B.
So, it feels like, again, this is a pick that is powerful. It has its strengths, but it's going to be missing out on something that has been relatively powerful, I think, in game so far, and what we've seen. We'll see here in game what they end up doing. Discordia is the last pick there for the Scorpions, by the way. But how they're going to adapt to, I mean, I want to say lack of Manticore Spike. I guess it's not that big of a deal, but still feels like it's an impactful item right now.
Yeah, it definitely will be. It really just depends on. I think Calvin's job here is pretty simple. They saw that Rapia was able to run things in game number 1. They didn't have too many answers to brutalize. Now you've got a pretty solid answer to brutalize. You just, whenever Rapia decides to go in, you hit that chain, and Rapia can use 2 of their abilities, right? You can use your ult, run around, but that's about it. It really does shut down a large part of what this Fenrir wants to do. There's not going to be any blinks prioritized here. A lot of beads throughout, except for on Calvin, of course, who's just going to grab that blink and try and get aggressive whenever possible. Unfortunately, that does put a giant target on his back. So now, you know, when no escape is down, Calvin is going to be in some trouble, right? That should be the first target in your fights. You've got a no CC immune area that you can just pick up, bring to the back of your team, and say, hey, attack. Like, just do damage. Let's kill this guy first, and then we can deal about the rest of the team.
Makes things fun. Ares always makes things interesting. I mean, you did say it, though. Discordia not on that list of CC immune ults that are going to be tackling in and dealing with this Ares. But it does open up that conversation. I also, that's what I was going to ask about, because I saw the ROM locked in alongside the Terra. And I was going to ask about the invades, because I was like, you know, the whole reason that duo lane was ahead so early was because that initial invade from Preds, Terra doesn't seem like... Yamoja, you grab the bubble bounce and moon, and you get the strike as well, the moon strike as well. You don't get that with Terra.
Yeah, you just get the walls, clap, decent damage, you get the cleave auto, but it's not
Not
going to be as
enough.
quick clear. Yeah, you get to spam bubbles onto the original purple buff, so I think you're right. That play, probably not something that's going to be replicated in this game.
So the question I'll ask you, and I think I have my answer, and it's probably no. But is it worth going for an invade with someone like Terra? You've got a decent damage on your 2, a couple of good autos, and dropping the hog. Like, would it be worth dropping the hog, or do you need that like profusely for the second spawn?
Well, the hog can't hit enemy buffs. It only hits.
Oh,
your,
right, I
it
forgot
only
about
hits your
that.
own buff, so you can't even use it to do that. But if you could, then
So
yeah,
you could,
100%.
yeah, absolutely
Yeah,
worthwhile.
if you could, I would take away all the buffs. I would just run around just deny everyone.
Instead, you cry.
Yeah, you just sit there and go, oh man, that's unfortunately
Man,
the play you have to
that
make.
shows how much I invade, because that part doesn't even. I did not even remember it, because how often are you using hog on any? First off, any buffs. Period. You're buying it once in the game if you're
Yep.
a support and it's
Yep.
the beginning, let alone trying to use it on somebody else's.
Yeah, you pretty much just save it. Again, the way I do it, if I'm a support, I look at the enemy, and I'm like, how much pressure do they have? They have an Ares and Chiron. Okay, I'm not going to hog the first buff. I'm going to save it for the second iteration
Well, yeah.
in case they invade. And it looks like that's what Preds has done as well. But of course, Calvin has also matched that. They
Yep.
both are holding on to the hog just in case the aggression comes
It
through.
also works out because it was, I want to say mid-season, recently in the jungle, before the Summer Masters, things like that, where we ended up seeing a jungle matchup here, actually, as we see Mastkill chasing down Rapio trying to get away, a couple of jumps going either way, not able to find the CC, the connections they want. Panvich going to lose out on a blue buff, so a successful invade from the Scorpions. Last game, that fell a little shy. But it was, I was going to say recently, that they made it so the first spawn of the jungle is essentially just like, they're like baby minions,
Oh, yeah.
essentially, right?
Way
Easier to
weaker.
kill.
Mhm.
And then the second wave, that's a real buff that comes out. And so you need that hog. We might see it
200 true
right
damage.
here.
Let's
as the weather
watch.
comes through. Hey, guess what? There it is. And it's going to be a nice little secure. Might even be some lockdown. Calvin, the chains, they're working for and against him in this instance because they're slowing him down. The Terrados are helpful. They don't seem to have it. There's the lockdown from Preds. And yeah, it doesn't
Triple?
matter if Davy's there. You get the autos now. Can they follow up with a little more?
2
Level
autos.
4.
Speeds the slow.
Does he have the roll? Gets the
Just
slow,
one.
but can't quite get there. Toddy once again barely able to escape with their lives. Does have to use the beads, and they still get first blood for the Scorpions.
You know what? I'm just gonna call it. It was a poultice diff. That's the Chiron passive. That whenever you use an ability, you get a little bit of a heal. You got health pots and multi pots in the back, but that was a poultice diff. I think Toddy dies without the extra poultice just locked up ready to use. And I just wanted to say poultice on the cast. If
Yeah,
I'm honest.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm surprised because I could tell you what Chiron's passive did. Would never have been able to tell you the name.
Yeah, and the reason is because there's a little leaf that's on his little pouch, and then it glows up when he's got them.
Yep.
No one really pays attention to that, but he consumes a poultice. It's just a fun word. I don't know why.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't have even been able to tell you about the thing on his model. I would have told you the UI element that does it. And well, hey, all you know is that it was a poultice diff. At least here at the beginning, maybe a little bit more. Calvin getting chased down. There's the root one more time. This time they have ults, though. Will the snipes come through? Do they need them? Preds might need something to get out of here. The flame's too good. Calvin turns it around. Davey now up into the air. Use that for CC immunity. Fires off a couple volleys. Rolls away to escape the Ares and the chain. But the fight's still going on the other side. Mastkill drops the Fear No Evil. And it's in response to the cavalry charge from Panvich. Keeps things bouncing back between them. No kills end up falling. Just a lot of damage this time around.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Preds because so much aggression in the duo lane has been stopped. But essentially now, we have the exact same stat line in duo where both supports are 1-1 and both carries are 0-1. So that at least brings some interesting mechanics to the game. But Calvin is not going to stop that aggression. Remember, supports with Interceptor, pretty easy to 1v1 carries, at least for the early. And unless Preds can steal this, will be a pretty successful buff invade. But Preds does confirm the buff, so not going to let Davey go through the same situation that happened to Toddy last game. This purple buff still belongs to the Aaru Scorpions.
I love that. Just that idea of just like, no, hold on. You don't understand. I'm the one who gets the purple buffs here, all right? It doesn't go anywhere else. Even getting aggressive, the clap, the damage, good on the Toddy. Doesn't have a lot of follow-up here. No ult yet for Davies, so I don't expect this to go anywhere. And it doesn't seem like the Scorpions do either. We're gonna let Toddy off the hook
Oh.
this time around. They stop the back. Calvin's gone. Preds goes for the root. Preds goes for the clap. There's the DPS lockdown. One more hit.
One.
It's all you
Dash
need.
in.
Somebody's
There
gonna
it
get it.
is.
Davey weaves it through and is able to find a kill, changing the slash lines up.
Wow, I mean, that was one of those situations where I looked at the diamond, saw Davey didn't quite have the snipes up, and I'm like, you got to dash in for that, right? But Rapio does try and take away the purple, doesn't get it, but he does get pulled back in, and now it's Preds who's in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know if Preds cares too much about this. The flames are going to be enough to get the damage. There's the dash. The double gets him through. Maskill still able to secure it, but had to leap in. Now the chases on the snipes are there. The shots are good. Rapio credit for the kill, and they go 1-for-1 support for jungle.
That was so cool that Rapio actually pre-beads just in case Fear No Evil was back up to get that brutalized off. That was one of those situations where there was no CC on the map that could have stopped that except for the Fear No Evil that just came up 3 seconds ago. So that was just, he had the timer in his head. He's like, I'm not sure exactly when it's up, but I don't want to lose this kill for brutalizing into nothing. Pre-beads is just to make sure. And now a kill on the board for Rapio. First on the board, I should say, for this Fenrir. And then also the return kill that Davey got before that fight even started. But also a great ult by Calvin. It's difficult to make this Ares pick work early. You got to keep track of who has beads and who doesn't. And of course, Calvin does not. And now even more aggression. Calvin doesn't have the ultimate. Probably going down here.
Yeah, that's a wild CC chain. Not a lot you can do about that. Fear No Evil in response. Fenrir trying to get away. Rapio's low. Just use the leap. There's the brutalize, but there's the chase down with the monkey bounce. And Maskill is able to at least get something back. So once again, another 1-for-1 trade. Support for jungle, just inverse.
6 XP ahead, 84 gold differential. I'm gonna call that one pretty even, Gore. I don't think I'm gonna.
I don't know.
I don't think I'm gonna give anyone the edge after that fight just yet. But you know, after a fight like that, we can look at the relic roundup. Of course, Rapio doesn't have beats for 90 seconds. Means you gotta hold on to that Ragnarok whenever you're in the vicinity of this Ares and/or this Hunbat. It's actually a pretty. Wow! I just realized the amount of big circle CC ultimates they actually have. Pillar of Agony, Fear No Evil, and No Escape. Like, you could put those all on top of each other if you want to whenever someone's beats are down, and that's going to be the CC chain of a lifetime. Either way, that's the reason I think Rapio is going to be holding on to that Ragnarok whenever you're on the left side of the map, the right side of the map, or anywhere near Maskill. I mean, at that point, you just got to watch out for CC from all sides.
Too much. It's not a big circle, but even Sotos has good CC. Unfortunately, Rapio had to spend a lot of the last game beadsing that or CC immuning that one form or fashion. Feels like there's going to be CC. Sometime this game, there's going to be some that connect on the jungler. We'll just have to keep our eyes on when. Like you said, 30, 35, let's call it now, seconds for those beats going back up. Rapio has the ult. Might be seeing aggression soon, but you can see small leads, right, where they end up coming through. Not necessarily as much an experience. Pretty much everybody equal except a small lead for less stimmicks. But the gold leaning all of 300 to 400 in favor of the Scorpions here. 9 minutes in, doesn't mean necessarily too much, but it does slow down, I think, the pace of these teams. Any aggression we've seen from the Scorpions seems to be met by the Gladiators, and vice versa. The Gladiators almost always been met. Might get the root, the good lockdown on the Stimmicks. There's another CC chain from the Terra. It's not enough on its own. Calvin's going to be here. Fear No Evil gets dropped. There's the Dueling Dragons. But instead, it's the turnaround. Sotos gets dove on. Prez is just dead here to Calvin. But it's the chase through, the follow-up for the Scorpions, able to at least get rid of less Stimmicks. A 2-for-1 trade so far. Maybe looking for a little bit more. Rapio leaps around in the solo lane. Guan Yu hovering in the jungle. Doesn't seem like they're quite ready to dive the tower. They won't have to. Maskill walks into the buff, and that's going to be the go button there for Panvich. Not able to find the kill. Wow. Not able to steal away the buff. Maskill gets away.
Props to Rapio for having the trigger discipline to not just immediately Ragnarok and chase down under that tier 2, because I'm probably making that play. Like, get some extra movement speed, dive under tower. At the very least, you're grabbing beads, but definitely the smart call to take your win and get out. It's one of those situations where I might have just get caught up in the thrill of the moment. Like, oh man, he jumps, we can go, we can go. Sometimes you gotta dial it back. Turns out that fight was a long time ago and Lystemix was already back walking over towards that blue buff, so definitely the smart call to dial it back. But we were looking at a relatively even game up until that big brawl over there, which started with Lystemix just being a little bit out of position and some picks were changed. But now Aaru Scorpions up about 1K gold. The XP is still looking relatively similar. It's just, you know, a level here and there, whoever clears the wave a little bit faster at the moment. But no big objective has been pulled off of this just yet. And I think that's something to take away, right? The Gold Fury wasn't really looked at for a bit in game number 1. The Pyromancer was the first time we saw an early objective pull here from the Aaru Scorpions, and this game sort of seems like the same. I do see that Rapio is sitting on the left side of the map, but the ward coverage has been pretty pristine from the Gilded Gladiators. Every time Toddy gets a whiff that there's a Fenrir in the mix, just immediately giddy up, back to tower. I'm sitting under this, and I'm not leaving.
Keeps him safe, keeps him alive, at least for now. We'll continue seeing that. I also just realized that and this is such a small thing, but Toddy has his starter in his second slot.
Oh, that's annoying.
Now that I pointed it out, sorry chat, you're going to have to be aware of it as well. So we're going to be seeing that.
Don't like that.
Don't think it's going to change. The only time it'll feel better is, well, I guess when they hit 20 and upgrade it if they get that far. To see. Again, you mentioned it, small level advantages. What was a level for Lestimics is now a level for Panvich. Gunter now a little bit up. Rapio even. Everybody else even. A little bit of a lead for Davey as well in the duo lane. Haven't seen a lot of solo kills or even solo attempts over there. Granted, I guess it's kind of hard. Rom can just go up in the air for however long he needs to stay safe. And the other one's a literal horseman who can just run away if necessary. And, of course, as I say it, we get to see it come through. Davies low, but they're calling this out. They recognize they've got the advantage, so they go for the Pyromancer on the Scorpions. Toddy's going to be able to get the solo kill. Scorpion's able to get the Pyromancer. So 1 style points goes to Toddy. The gold, which matters a little bit more in game, goes to Scorpions.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that the snipes were just not on point there because, I mean, Davey was losing that fight from the start, but seemed like wanted to dash in aggressively, wanted to make that play just in case. And if it's a battle between snipes, Toddy wins those, and Centaurus wins out. Gets a little bit of extra pressure in that lane as well as stealing away the purple buff. So XP and gold-wise for the carries, probably looking in favor of Toddy at the end of that. But the Aaru Scorpions get the net dub by grabbing themselves that Pyromancer. At the very least, trying to confirm the vision onto the Gold Fury. And it looks like they will do that just fine. But, you know, I think all things considered, still a relatively even game core. We're not seeing too much aggression from either side until that dual lane fight. Right as you said, we're not seeing too much solos. They just decide, you know what, we're gonna give you the action.
They heard me. I willed it into existence.
You willed that fight, and unfortunately, Davey did not want that fight.
Yeah, no, poor Davey. The snipes need to come back up. I guess they don't need to come back up. They just need to connect when they are up to make those go a little more secure for them. Davey.
He's none the wiser.
Oh, no. Maskill's going to see him. There's the overhand smash. How much do they want to commit to this? Leap forward. There's the Fear No Evil, but up into the sky.
Rapio.
Snipes are going to be there. Gets Maskill to about half health. The junglers come through, and Rapio's able to pick up one, but eats a lot of damage in the process. Davey steps forward. They've got their support beside them. Toddy's taking the damage, and it doesn't matter, Calvin. You're just a little bit too late, but the chains, the flames, they might be enough. They can connect all onto the right target. There's going to be the flames onto the Fenrir. So close, and gets the kill, making sure that they at least get something for their troubles.
Yeah, the return kill just off that rotation from Sotos. If not, the Terror kept everyone topped off there, and I don't think there was going to be a kill happening. Props to Calvin, though, making sure to kick all that damage onto Rapio to confirm that kill. But Panvich, however, makes the rotation over to mid and says, we're going to grab another tier 1. Remember, it was like 20-plus minutes before any towers dropped in game number 1, but this time around, that is not going to be the case. Much more aggression from both sides, and it looks like that's going to be the name of the game here. Still, no one too confident looking for that Gold Fury, however. That's just not the play. And you know what? I've actually figured it out. It seems like Davey, actually, hold that thought, Calvin getting caught out here and definitely going to be falling down shortly, trying to clear the wave. And that should be enough for this team to feel confident enough to pull the Gold Fury, right? You get that pick, you clear out the wave, you have the vision, but they're taking it slow if they are going for it.
Yeah, definitely something. Maybe, I mean, honestly, seeing the amount of aggression they can have from the Gladiators makes things interesting. The rotations they could have from the Scorpions to maybe kind of leverage this a little more in their favor. Still sitting shy of 2,000 gold. And Trelly, the longer this game goes, the higher that mark of gold like necessary to feel like a lead. It's much more massive, right? 2,000 at 10 minutes, that's a lead. 2,000 at 20 minutes, that's, I mean, it's a lead, but it's nowhere near the amount of controlling that it's going to be, the difference in items that it's going to control. It's slowed off a little bit here. Maskill, Toddy, they all have a lot of their
Oh,
ults.
wow.
Instead, no, it's Maskill who's low. The snipe's got to connect, and there's Davey finding one. The last shot not going to connect on anyone, but who cares? Instead, they're looking for the turnaround. 1-for-1. Sodos and Davey end up going down. Now the chase is on. Toddy stunned, locked, cannot do anything. That Aegis only keeps him alive a little longer, but finally the kill comes through. A massive 4-man Pillar of Agni into a 3-man chain from Calvin, but it's not enough to save the solo laner. They get one more kill for the Gladiators, but it's 4 down on the other side. The Scorpions, only the support left alive.
I don't think they're going to feel too confident in going for a steal, I should say, because this Gold Fury is going to burn down relatively quickly. Plenty of damage and healing. And finally, the first real objective is pulled, and it looks like the Aaru Scorpion's going to grab it pretty effortlessly. I mean, the Pyromancer went down, but there was no fight over the fact that you got to get a pick. You got to get a fight like this for the Aaru Scorpions to feel confident going for that first Gold Fury. And what a fight it was. I mean, it starts off Toddy playing so safe, not even stepping up past the tier 2 without the rest of the team, like without some extra vision. You know, guys, I don't want to leave this tier 1 tower. I saw Preds was nearby, and then that just turned into, I'm going to steal some offerings away from the obelisk. I'm going to, you know, just sit around here for a bit. And then Maskill goes in, thinks you got a pretty solid kill opportunity on a Davey. The second that Terra ult goes down, you're not winning that trade. I mean, the healing comes through. Davey does eventually fall, which is good for the Gladiators, but you lose 4 in the process. Just not going to be that worth it. Now the Aaru Scorpions are able to continue pushing that lead.
What a beautiful spot for them to be in. Not quite Fire Giant territory yet, but they're starting to approach it. Obelisk charged up, Trebuchet there now for the Scorpions. And what a perfect position for it, right? Trebuchet getting spawned over there on the left-hand side, Trelly. They already got one on right, so it was very easy for them to figure out where that one was going to go. Locks it through. CC immunity pulled in. Bubble used by Preds. Or maybe not used by Preds. Torn off by Calvin.
Yeah.
And now we'll see where that aggression can be. Beats is coming up here in a second. The apple thrown out by Gunter as well. A small little skirmish in mid, but is creating a lot of space. Pyromancer seems to be on the mind of the Scorpions.
Gore, I hate to correct you, but that was a pumpkin.
That was a pumpkin. You know what? And very applicable for the theme of the month. Pumpkin thrown out. Does not connect. Lastimics.
Oh, wow.
I admire it. Those prots working out
What?
wonders. He stays alive and keeps things going. What a heal. What a shield for the solo laner of the Gladiators. Now they're pushing forward still. Scorpions in control. Sodos goes down. Lastimics might have lived, but at what cost? Calvin stunned. Calvin locked down the chains, only doing so much to keep things slowed. And it's still a 2 swing for the Scorpions, despite the amazing play from the solo laner.
I mean, they got no anti-heal. At least they got the kill after the fact, and it wasn't actually on to Lastemics, but still, you got to get a Brawlers or something in that regard. Just the Divine Ruin. And Lastemics, nothing to heal off of over there.
Yeah.
You're going to fall down real quick. And even though
Man.
Centaurus is available for Toddy, not close enough to go for the steal. And Fire Giant's going to go to the Aaru Scorpions.
Part 1 of that Lastimics play was really cool. Part 2 fell off real hard.
The sequels are always worse, Gore. Everyone knows
Yeah,
that.
you're right. Especially when it's one, like, if you look, you wrote that play. That play came into existence. There was no follow-up plan for that. That was a stay alive and get me out play. And unfortunately, yeah, trying to wing it for the second one didn't work as well. 7,000 gold for the Scorpions ahead. Double the kills, 16-8. And they still have all 6 of their towers standing. 5 on the other side, but I have a feeling, Trelly, that number's going to soon dwindle. Last time around, first Fire Giant, everybody but Rapio gets it. This time, all 5 members have it. And it feels like they get the back. They've got a Trebuchet. If they ever want to send it, they can start getting aggressive.
Yeah, now it's time to do, like I said, you know, Hunbat's a little bit different. Last time in this situation, I said Maskill looking a little bit worse for wear because Mercury is not one of those characters that excels in these grouped up team fights. Hunbats doesn't really hate that, right? If your grouping is 5 and you get a 5-man Fear No Evil, get the beads down, 5-man Pillar of Agony, those sort of things do start to add up. So I think this plays a little bit more into the Gilded Gladiators' hand in the sense of if they're searching for fights, they don't have to search anymore. The fighting is going to come to them. It's going to be groupings underneath these Phoenixes, underneath these Tier 2 towers. You just have to place your 4 button well. You know, you have to place your big circle well enough to get some relics down for your team. As long as that's the case, the Gilded Gladiators are certainly not looking out of this. The itemization, however, is where I think the issue arises. You know, Sotos is working on that Obsidian Shard, whereas Gunter finished it a bit ago and probably working on upgrading a starter item here. Maskill is 4 levels away from even thinking about upgrading a starter item, whereas Rapio probably wants a wave or 2 back, and then we'll be able to finish that just as easily. These are the things that are going to start to add up here. Maybe your ease of application of these ultimates is going to get better, but everything else, I think, is starting to weigh in the Scorpion's favor. 10,000 gold in lead, and as you said, it's not going to slow down anytime soon.
10,000 gold's a lot,
Yeah.
as it turns out. 21 minutes in.
Think about all the items you can buy with 10,000 gold.
Man. Actually, not as much. What?
You could buy a full rod of Tahuti, a Mantle of Discord in the back. Then you could get, what's a good Fail Knot? Deathbringer? Yeah, that's 3 full items.
That's 3. It is a lot, and honestly, that is a lot, Trelly. You know what? Good point.
Well, I was just trying to like put it in perspective.
Yeah,
You know?
into full perspective there. And honestly, you chose 3 really expensive items too, so that works out really well. It's gonna get the last hit. There it is. All the towers knocked down. Gladiators. Not a lot of room to stand on. Was wondering whether it was an ambush, but no, it's a back from the Scorpion. Spend some of that gold, as we've mentioned in the past. Sometimes the number can get inflated, but until you spend it, it's all just superficial. Now it's actual, and they're going to be feeling it all the way.
Every starter just got upgraded on the right side of the map.
So here's the question for you. A minute left on the Fire Giant, this power play that exists. You've got a lot of really good initiators if you're the Scorpions. But can you go for a Phoenix here, or do you have to kind of slow roll this, just let the minute pass, and then go for the next FG?
If you're my ranked teammates, you could go for it, but because this is an actual important
Charlie,
game.
I'm feeling some animosity this cast towards your ranked
We're
teammates.
on the road to Worlds,
Do you
Gore.
need to vent?
I think this is the road to Worlds. You get that Oni Fury and you dial it back, but you know, I think there is a call to be made where you just ping Phoenix and say, we're up 10,000 gold, attack, attack, attack. And that is something that can occur, but it's definitely not the smart call. The smart call is to solo Sotos in the right lane. That's what I would do if I was Rapio, personally. Oh, I am on a delay. I can't believe you did what I said. Rapio gets the solo kill. Beats go down, but it does not matter.
You might need to go get checked. You might be a soothsayer, man. Like you might have some powers. You called that one, and it happened. It was incredible. The Scorpions, Fire Giant just fell off 7 seconds ago. Still grouped up. They got the Fury. They got the solo kill. Whether they're looking for the Phoenix or maybe just another pick, right? Kind of stagger somebody out as they get aggressive over for the Fire Giant here in 40 seconds when it respawns. They're going to play this one carefully. This is the discussion I was trying to have with you last time. Normally, if Sodas was here, you're not too worried about this one because, hey, guess what? Our mage damage dump minions are gone. You don't have any backdoor strippers to come through. Backdoor protection strip. That one's on me. You don't have anything to get rid of that. And so we're just going to have to deal with that. But he's dead, so maybe there's something for them. It still feels like there's not a lot of opportunities to try and open up that Phoenix.
Yeah, it's not.
Come on, man, game face.
I'm sorry. All right, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And it's not going to be easy to try and defend at a deficit. But I mean, I think, like we said, with the ease of application of these ultimates, you have big circles. We already saw the Hades blink silence. There was no ultimate after the fact, but now would be the time, right? If you want to go for it, it was then, but Sotos has already spawned back in, so it looks like Dial It Back gets set up for that Fire Giant because it's coming in here shortly. So as we were referring, you know, you could have went for that play, and I think my ranked teammates would have. But it's better to dial it back, make sure that you get this Fire Giant, and then you can look for the pick after the fact. Calvin has been picked up and dropped down into the arms of the rest of the team and doesn't even get the ult off.
Yeah, that one's, again, just classic, right? Strips protections from Panvich, and then everybody else just kill them. They make sure the damage is there. Gives them an advantage around the Fire Giant. Looks like they should have this one in the bag. Nobody from the Gladiators nearby. So Trelly, instead of looking at this health bar go down, all 5 members are going to go ahead and have it. It does make me think back, though, and I'll hearken to one thing, and that is we used to have videos every now and then that would come out that were just a compilation of caster stuff.
Yeah.
And some of it behind the scenes where it was like dancing on camera. That's all I'm thinking about right now. My brain kind of jumped off the rails there. Speaking of jumping off the rail, 7-2 for Rapio. And for those of you who might have forgotten or maybe didn't catch it, same slash line as they had in game number 1. So turns out Fenrir, Rapio, real good combination. I'm taking notes of this if I'm any of the other teams because this feels like a last pick in game number 1, but top 3 for the Scorpions here. Feels like it's a high priority for them.
Allow me to spin you a yarn, though, because I'm going to write the comeback potential here for the Gilded Gladiators. What needs to happen to keep these birds up? And we've already discussed the fact that they have lots of big CC ultimates that can really start to weigh in. The main issue I find, however, is what just happened to Calvin. You can't get no escape off if you just are in the backline at this point. You're not tanky enough to blink in, ult, and set up for your team. You're probably getting that set up and then dying. So what needs to happen here is Listemics or Masculine need to decide first and foremost who's going in first. Blink in, use your ult, you're probably dead. And then the other person needs to set up for the team. Unfortunately, they're not grouped properly, and already this left side Phoenix is going down. So my yarn may have been spinned a little bit too much. I don't think it's going to be possible.
You span too fast and ran out of yarn to keep spinning for you. Now it's going to be the defense setup. Maskill goes in. Maskill's low snipes are good. Preds, credit for the kill. Calvin gets a 2-man pull picked up, but they're getting a lot of damage in return. They're trying to find the Fenrir, able to get the kill as well. Centaurus shots are good. Calvin's going to lose his life, but they've got the setup 4 down, or 4 ready on the other side. Low health bars for the Scorpions. 2 down. On the side of the Gladiators. It's going to be the re-engage for the Scorpions. Trying to knock down the left side Phoenix. They've got the damage for that one. They're going to go ahead and take that and fall back, not trying to lose anybody else.
Yeah, honestly, if you're going to lose someone in that situation, I think Rapio is probably the best tool because you still have your double healers. You still have Gunter who's going to bring insane amounts of damage. And then you have your ADC who's going to knock down these birds. So it's not going to be the end of the world for the Aaru Scorpions push at all. Sodos is holding on to Dueling Dragons, though, and that's the only hope that they have. Already, Listemics falls extremely low, and here comes the ult.
It's a miracle he did not die right there. Able to get out. Listemics is healing up in the fountain, and the rest of the team keeping things just close enough, and specifically Sodos keeping it just close enough. Good Dueling Dragons forces the Scorpions to fall back. Prolongs the timer a little bit longer. A little over a minute for this power play. A lot of burn time from the Scorpions, or sorry, from the Gladiators here, to make sure that that power play was not as impactful as it could have been. Calvin has to be careful, though. A little pick could open up so much more for them. The CC is there, the chains, the ult. He's going to get it off. Not going to be able to pull anybody in. Not going to find any kills, but gets the damage out there for his team. And the follow-up seems to be good. The Centaurus shots from Toddy at least get one. Listemics goes in with a huge Pillar of Agony. But again, this time just trying to escape. Blink forward, ult from the jungler. And now the Scorpions are going to add another one to the list. 3 down on the side of the Gladiators. That's going to be a mid-Phoenix for sure. The 2v4 Trelly, without your Hunter, do they go for the Titan?
I mean, you have enough CC. If Gunter can just, focus down one more kill on a Sodos, it's a possibility, but I think the smart call is to go for the bird once again, and then look to see if you can find a pick. Look to see if anyone steps up and defend, and I don't think that's going to be the call. So, because Fire Giant wears off in 8 seconds, I think that's one of the main reasons this is not going to be a Titan siege as it's going to be. Let's get the last bird, back it up, we'll get one more Fire Giant attempt, and then we'll be able to try and break the base of the Gilded Gladiators. I guess the base has been broken. Tear down the base at that point. Kill the Titan. That's the name of the game, and that's the plan after the fact. But just a great engage, and once again, Calvin cannot survive. I mean, Ares falls off so hard as a character if you're behind because you just don't gain too much from blinking and ulting and dying, right? If you're able to pull the beads and set up for your team and then die, sure, that's one thing. But in this case, Calvin's going in and then just getting picked out. Especially the relic choice. I mean, Ankh and blink means no CC immunity in that kid after the ult. You're just going to be getting just CC chained into death every single time.
And that has been the case several times in a row at this point. Gold Fury, very recently added back into the pool of Furies that can spawn after 20 minutes. And for those of you maybe unaware, scales pretty good in the late game. I mean, you're talking about winning. You get a good chunk of change killing a late game Gold Fury. It feels nice to have that one in there as we are approaching 20,000 gold and 30 minutes for the Scorpions. 23-10 for the kills. And now Fire Giant spawn back up. Give it 20 seconds. Let it be an EFG. And deal with those backdoor protections. Admittedly, they don't need to worry too much about them because the Phoenixes are all down.
That is true. There's no more Phoenixes anymore, and I don't think... Oh, actually, Calvin is walking up here. I was going to say, there's no way Calvin tries to steal, right? At this point, you just blink in, just go burn. and
Of
try your
all the
best.
people to try and steal, and I think Calvin's like the lowest on the list.
I mean, that's gonna be ticks of like 13, just like burn. But I've seen Rising Dawn steal a Fire Giant. Like
Good, yeah.
in
Oh,
competitive,
man.
we've seen Kepri steal. So I guess they're
In like high level, like important SPL games.
yeah. There's worse abilities to go in. I mean, it's certainly possible. But now you're in a situation where you have to fight out of the Titan. This is an EFG situation. You cannot just go for the fight. And Maskill, once again, much like last time, is going very far in the backline to try and set up for the team.
Now I think was spotted as well.
Rapio's chasing again.
Very different from last time is that this was a Mercury, and he could just Sonic boom down half the lane to get there anyway. That's a Hunbats. I'm surprised they're chasing this as deep as they are. Seems almost ill-advised to leave 2 of your members, not even alone in the jungle, the other 3 alone at the Phoenix line when you could get more done. But then again, Trelly, you get a kill. Only a minute's gone. Now you're all regrouped up, and you get to go in and kill off at least 1 weakened Phoenix, and the team doesn't have their jungler for 45 seconds. Feels like a good spot for the Scorpions.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about Fear No Evil for 40 seconds, and now you got 5v4 at the enemy Titan room, 3 birds down. You're just waiting for a pick or a good initiation at this point before that Titan gets burned down.
Full. Yeah, we'll see what they can do in a defensive area here. Centaur's shots are looking good. The damage onto Davey is there, and they're going to be able to find the kill. And this is looking like a solid defense so far. Gunter, though, is able to get the damage out there. Toddy, barely alive thanks to the Aegis, makes it back to the fountain and manages to maintain their life. They still got 4 players on the side of the Scorpions ready to go. They need some healing for Preds to feel confident going in there. 2 minutes left on the power play.
Maskill's back, though. It has
Maskill.
ultimate available.
This could be really big for the Gladiators if they can go in. Try to find a turnaround kill. Instead, it's going to be Rapio that goes forward. Immediately, Maskill is just erased off the map. Say goodbye to the ultimate. It doesn't even get to come out of here. The Scorpions play it safe. They go for the mid-Phoenix, but they still have the numbers advantage. They're moving right back into the Titan room, looking for their picks, looking for the kill, and they are trying to find their win in a 2-0 fashion. They are going to storm over the Gladiators, and the Scorpions are going to start off this season right.
I mean, you don't even get to click 4. Maskill was just stalled back in and was not able to clean that one up. Toddy does grab 1 kill for their troubles, but just unfortunate in that situation because that would have been a big ult, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're still you're still super far behind, but it would have been nice. Either way, I mean, just so much damage coming out of Gunter there. The disco was popping off in that situation where you're in the base room, you step out for a second, like, okay, now we're going to defend. Oh, I got chunked. I'm going to go back. And, I mean, the Aaru Scorpions' clinical play. I mean, they were ahead throughout this whole game. I mean, both sets. I mean, 1 set, both games, they were ahead. That's what I'm trying to say, and it was a dominant performance for sure.
I feel so bad because you said the disco was popping off, and all I could start thinking of is how many disco references could I try to drop after that? Instead, we're going to make sure the answer stays maybe at none, and just let that image come through and hang out there. That being said, like a 70s Discordia to match like the Aphrodite skin.
And you throw a disco ball. Yes,
yeah.
I've been saying that.
Okay, see, look, I'm with you here on this one. We got to get it made. And of course, it was a very good game from the Scorpions. Clean play. A little closer, though, throughout this one, Trelly. And that's really the key, I think, for the Gladiators, right? If you're looking at this from the Scorpions, game number 1, really good play across all boards of the map. Admittedly, got a pretty good draft. Game number 2, still get a good draft, but a lot closer, a lot better fight from the Gladiators to help keep things a little more balanced throughout the early game.
Yeah, and I love seeing just the grouped up team play from the Aaru Scorpions, right? When you're dealing up against so much CC immunity, you have to make sure that your own team's ults are pretty top tier. You can't be letting like 1 pick go through. You can't be letting someone get caught out without beads, that sort of thing. And it seemed like the Aaru Scorpions were always there to cover each other. If there was, hey, I'm getting pulled by this, so we have to go in, immediately Panvich was going to hop on the horse, make sure that Calvin doesn't get that ult off, things like that, make sure the healing was there. And again, I got to shout out Preds. The ults were on point. I mean, whenever the flames were burning down, you thought maybe a pick was going to happen, the healing was always going to be there. And this was that play when Soto's just tried to clear the wave and you expected, oh, they're going to back off here. But with a beautiful pick like that, you might as well just break the base.
Yeah, I mean, the way they were playing, it's unfortunate because I think Davey made a lot of fun and good plays, like Rom Snipes like that. That are some of my favorites just in general in the game. Does pay for it with his life a lot of the time, 7-4 and 11. Meanwhile, Gunter, Panvich 5-0-14 for the mid laner, 3-0-14 for the solo. It feels like the Scorpions were able to keep at least those two alive and well, and it paid off incredibly. I mean, look at that. Almost 40,000 damage, pretty much doubling what Sodos was able to put out. It feels like we got a lot from that Discordia, and we were a little curious, like, hey, Baba Yaga, like, it was late game, did a lot of damage. It felt like no matter what, banning that just said, okay, well, now you can't play the late game pick. You can play something that's way more hands-on throughout all of the game.
I mean, one of my favorite
Like
things
the
about
duration.
the Discordia pick is that usually people are like, okay, you're picking it to facilitate someone. Like, Davey had the passive for a bit of that game, and we
Yeah.
saw Davey get aggressive in lane. Gunter said, yeah, I'm picking the Discordia for me. Like, I'm getting the
Yo,
passive.
this is mine.
I'm doing 40,000 damage. You guys can have it in early game, but once I get like 4 items, I'm going to be taking that for the rest of the game, and you guys can fight for second place at that point.
And you know what? I don't blame him because
Yep.
it worked out incredibly well for Gunter in mid. Again, the Scorpions coming off. If you go back and look at this squad, and granted, there's been a lot of changes since the inception of this year to where we are now, but Scorpions phase 1 not looking as clean as they are now. A very, very fun growth to watch throughout the year, and a great way to kick off phase number 3. And of course, that does wrap up the second set now in Europe. We take a look at the schedule and how things are shaking out for that. You watched one a little bit earlier with the Ravens beating the Ferrymen in a 2-1. The Scorpions take over a 2-0 win for the Gladiators here. Sorry, for the Scorpions over the Gladiators here. Tomorrow we'll be watching the Mambo and the Wargs. Again, the Mambo, for those of you who are curious, no changes going into this. Meanwhile, the Wargs, a lot of changes going into this. So curious how that one's going to end up shaking out. And that'll be right before the SBL tomorrow morning. And of course, North America is where we are going to be going to next, right, Trelly? We're traveling in an incredibly fast fashion across the Atlantic. I'm personally really impressed with how fast we're able to do so.
I was going to say, I usually have to like take medicine and get through that. So
Really?
is it going to be like, how long is it going to be?
Like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes from
Oh,
like now.
okay, well that-
I guess maybe 10,
Yeah,
10
like
more like 10 from now.
12 plus hours is my limit, so I'll take that just fine.
Do you really? How many international flights have you been on, like, to Europe? Now I'm just curious.
I went to Italy once.
You went to Italy once.
And
I went to
I
Germany
also had to
once.
come back.
Yeah. We're not in Italy? I never knew. Who would have guessed? Yeah, no. So, so you had to take medicine for that one. That's interesting. Well, we're not going to make you sit on a 12-hour flight. Instead, we're just going to make you sit through a short little break screen. And when we get back, we'll be in North America.